My wife may not believe it, but I have been trying to cut back on how much I spend on comics. That doesn't mean, though, that I don't keep working on some of my comic book goals. In this comic book unboxing, I've got a book that gets me this close to finishing one of those goals. Stay tuned, and I'll be right back. Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and here I am with another comic book unboxing. This is a few things I've been picking up over the last few weeks. As I said at the beginning, I have been trying to cut back on how much I spend on comic books, believe it or not. And as I said, my wife probably doesn't believe that either. But I can also tell by the number of comic book unboxings, how many episodes that I've been putting out, that I have slowed down greatly. And so what I've been doing is saving up some of the things that I've been buying over a bigger and bigger length of time. And that's what happened with this right here. And I realized that I'm coming up on Baltimore Comic-Con, and at least with one of these items in here, I kind of want to go ahead and get it filmed so I can put it into my batch of things I'm taking to the Comic-Con to get signed, and I don't need it lingering over here in the to be filmed pile, and then for me to forget it by the time I go to the convention. But also in this is one really nice book that I have been looking for at a certain grade, and that's one of those goals that I've been working on. And you guys will instantly recognize the book, and if you follow the channel, you'll also recognize that is one of my primary goals that I have been working on. But let's just get it right into it. So the one item that I wanted to get filmed and into the stuff going to Baltimore Comic-Con was items getting ready to get signed by Chris Claremont. Now, I've got some of my X-Men books pulled, but beyond that, I don't have a lot pulled for Chris because he actually signed a lot of stuff for me down at Heroes Con. But one of the things that I didn't get signed down there, and I completely forgot about it, I just couldn't manage to bring it into the show because they're not comic books. That's part of the problem. And I just couldn't work out the logistics in the proper time. By the time I remembered, I had screwed everything up, and I realized, well, I'm not going to go back out there because Chris is one of those guys that I want to get in line at the very beginning of the show. And when I did that, I realized I didn't bring the items, plus the one that I just picked up that I'm going to show you. I wasn't going to get back in his line later in the con. I was going to do one and done, and I realized I missed my chance. So when I go to Baltimore this year, when I go to see Chris, I want to make sure I've got the right books I want on me, but I want to have the items that I've been talking about. And let me show you what I'm going to. I just got this from eBay, and I've already got the other variant to this ready to get signed. I had that with me down at Charlotte, but like I said, I forgot to bring it in. But I did pick up another Funko, and this one is Phoenix. This is the regular Phoenix, not Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix I've actually got that over in the box. It's literally sitting across the floor over there, along with some other X-Men Funkos that I want Chris to sign. Funkos like, of course, Dark Phoenix, and I've got a Kitty Pryde, and I want to say I've got a couple of Rogues in there as well, and maybe even the X-Men 97 ones. I've got a Jean Grey on that, and a White Queen. I think I've got at least 5 or 6 Funkos I'm going to take, and because I already had the Dark Phoenix one, I wanted, and I was going to get Chris to sign it, I also wanted to get the regular Phoenix, so picked that up. It wasn't that expensive, but it could be. It was probably one of the cheapest ones I could find on eBay, and this was really nice because it actually came in one of those protective, it's not a hard case, but it is one of those protective cases. So we'll put that back in there so when I get it signed, I'll have it protected for the rest of the show until I bring it out to the car. So we'll leave that sitting here. All right, so before I get to the big book that gets me to my collecting goal, let's go over a couple of things I picked up from Infinity Comics. And these were actually the last comics that I've picked up from Infinity Comics. It's been a little while since I bought anything on there. Now, it doesn't mean that I didn't put some bids in on some things, but I just haven't had the time to devote to really looking over the books on Infinity. And you've got to look over those books. You can find some gems like my Hulk 181. I got that off of Infinity. And I've gotten some beautiful comics off of there. Well, this was the last win that I had on there, and One's a key, minor key, but the other one is just a great cover. It's not necessarily a key, but it does okay. Let me just show it to you. First up, it's a non-key, but it is a beautiful John Byrne She-Hulk number 43. This one right here, just a great cover. It's not one of the premium late in the run She-Hulks that John Byrne did. Of course, you got the one a few issues before where she's naked and jumping rope, and there's a couple other really good covers that drive a pretty good premium as a 9.8. This one does not, however. Most recent sales have gone around $75, $79. Now, the one I've seen on eBay that's live right now is about $125, but as I said, the going rate for this is about $75, $80, and that's if you can get that. It's not a big cover or anything like that, but it is a absolute gorgeous John Byrne cover. So the other book I picked up in this one particular auction was Defenders number 9. Now this is from 1973. This actually has a little bit of a spine roll, and it's going to take some work because I couldn't see it on the photos in Infinity Comics, but boy, you can feel that right there. It is definitely rolled. I'm going to use this and experiment a little bit. I don't know if I could squeeze this out to a 9.8. We'll see. I may use this as an experiment. Luckily, I didn't spend a lot of money on either of these, so it wasn't an expensive purchase. And I've got other better copies of this Defenders number 9. It's a key because it is part of that Defenders Avengers War. These are chapters 4 through 6, I believe. And just a great storyline that crossed over between the two titles. Give you some prices on this, though. Now, if I can manage to get this cleaned and pressed, and if I can get this to what I think is a 9.6 level, might do pretty good. $180. A 9.4 went for $89 and $150 over the last few months. So a lot of range right there. And if 9.2s go down all the way to $50 and $79. So we'll experiment with this once we get it into the press. It's not going to go in there anytime soon, so it'll be a while before this one makes it up the charts in terms of me getting it into CGC. But we'll hold on to it for now. Trust me, I'll actually work on other copies of this particular book before I get to that one. All right, guys, so that brings us to the last book of the day. Not a big comic book unboxing. What did I say? I'm definitely slowing down on how much I'm buying right now. Getting ready for Baltimore Comic-Con. I have just sent in an order for CGC. You got to watch probably one of those videos here recently. And I think I sent in like 6 orders all at once. One was for the Jerry Conway signing. The other ones were, I only think I had one order that had 2 books that literally were for books that were just nice books. I think I had a New Mutants 98 and a Batman Adventures 12. But the other orders were all a mix of signed books that I was having JSA verify the signatures. So you probably saw one of those videos here just recently. But again, the money was going to CGC, and so I haven't been picking up a lot of stuff. But this is a book that it's on my wish list. One of my biggest goals that I set probably about 4 years ago at this point was to collect the John Byrne run on X-Men, issues 108 through 143, all graded CGC at a minimum 9.6. And why did I choose 9.6 instead of 9.8? Well, it's infinitely much more affordable. And in some cases, you could probably get them bumped up if you really wanted to. But I'm pretty satisfied with the 9.6 run on that. And what I've gotten down to is I only need 3 issues left. I need issues number 120. I need issue number 129 and 130. All, of course, are the big keys in that run. And I'd already picked up issue 109, the first appearance of the Guardian from Alpha Flight. There were some other really good books I've been picking up, but I know doesn't mean I don't have them graded either. I do have graded copies of these. In fact, I've got 129 as a 9.4 signed by Claremont. I've got 130 signed, I want to say, actually no, I've got it signed in raw, but I don't have it graded. But I think I've got a 9.2 on that, and even 120 I've got, I believe, an 8.5. And I did that as placeholders for the most part. A couple of them I'd sent in myself to get graded, but when I was at Harrisburg, there was a dealer there that had a graded copy of this particular X-Men. It's one of the three. I'm sorry, I'm giving you a little bit of suspense. And he gave me a pretty good price, but I'd already spent the money I wanted to spend at that show on some other books. Well, I ended up going on eBay and I found one, and it was same book. They had a best offer, and I went in there and I gave them the same offer that the guy from Harrisburg was going to give me, and I included the tax. I think I played with the tax just a few dollars more, but essentially I got it for the same price as I did would have had up in Harrisburg if I'd picked it up. Well, let me show it to you guys. Issue 130 here, the first appearance of Dazzler, second appearance of Kitty Pryde, Emma Frost, John Romita Jr. cover here. Beautiful work. I mean, I loved this book as a kid. And you know what? I didn't know for years. It took me a million years to realize that John Romita Jr. had done this book. But I actually got him and Claremont to sign some of the raw copies when I was at Heroes Con. And I've got a beautiful facsimile of this that I had both of them sign as well. Now, I'm not going to crack this out. I don't want to take the risk that this may jump down. There are some couple spine ticks over here, which will prevent me from wanting to try to take my chances and try to get this bumped up to a 9.8. I don't think it'll get there. But I am so happy to have this in my collection. That means now I'm down to 2 books only, issues 129 and issues 120, and now I can work on those, and we'll hopefully within the next year we'll work on that. I'm going to look for deals. I may still look for raws. That may be one of my goals at Baltimore Comic Con. Focus on those 2 as raw comics. And you may ask, why did you just buy this? I mean, you've got raws, you could have sent them in. Well, I will tell you this, that as a raw comic, it is still an expensive comic book. But with the market down right now, the price of these, and if you go collect, and you can see the fair market value of this, I paid in that neighborhood. It's not like I've got a great deal, but it's, in some cases, I got a better deal than you're seeing on some of the sales, and some of them I got a worse deal. But I was very comfortable with the price I paid for this. If I had bought it raw, I would have paid probably half of what I did. But by the time you've gotten grading in, and then you take the chance of it not meeting that 9.6 or 9.8, then you're left with, okay, it's a lesser book, and all of a sudden you're just throwing money at it, and you're not getting what you want. Well, I ended up getting what I wanted on this one, and now we're down to 2 books, and we'll see how that goes over the next year. But guys, that is it. That is it for today. A very short comic book haul. Let me know in the comments below what you think about things I've picked up and how I go about collecting. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. And if you enjoyed today's episode, definitely give me a like, slap that subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out each and every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you for the next episode. Until then, remember, every comic has a story.